What up, everybody? This is John,
I'm Sean.
and welcome back to another podcast episode of the GunplaCave. Today, we're going to talk about the different kind of grades of Gunpla and our overall experience of what we had with them. So, I guess
Yeah.
and I'll start with high grade as one of the basics, as that's the one that most people build. My experience overall, um, I think it's a pretty solid, well, probably the most consistent to be in solid because it's so small and the joints are kind of really stiff and they're not like fragile like a big master grade or a big perfect grade. And they're so kind of like playable too.
Well, high grades?
Yeah.
What do you mean by playable?
Because like with a master grade, you can play with it and it can be solid, but you're more kind of like delicate with it. Whereas as a high grade, you can be as playful as you want because it could be like $25 that you paid for it.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. High grades, like overall, I'd say my experience with them in terms of like breaking, I've broken a couple, but it was mostly my fault. So I can't really blame it on the kits.
hmm Um, there are high grades that have been a little fragile and a little like finicky, but for the most part, I've had a pretty good and solid experience with them. They haven't like completely shattered or like exploded in my hands or anything.
What's the worst experience you've had with a high grade?
Um, Probably the worst experience I had mm, was probably um the Zeta Kai. If anyone has ever built that, let me know in the comments. But I built the Zeta Kai like probably a couple weeks ago, and the only problem was me for not was not just the kit itself, but just the amount of stickers that I had to put on it was just insane, and I just did not like doing that.
Oh, okay, yeah. You just brought up my main reason why I don't really buy too many high grades anymore. And that's the stickers. The stickers are just so aggravating because they are so small. And I'm the type of person that if I'm off by a little bit on the placement, it drives me crazy.
Oh yeah, that's me too. If I get a sticker like misaligned or something, it drives me crazy as well.
Yeah. And so I end up just messing with it even more. And then eventually it just starts to lose its like stickiness and it starts to like fall off. And then you try and make it work. And it's not a good time. I don't enjoy that part. But uh thankfully the only like worst part about it is I feel like the head. The eyes are like the worst part
Oh
with the high
yeah,
grades.
I can understand that. And yes, you can paint it, but for the life of me, I cannot paint.
Yeah, no, one of the main reasons why I like Gundam so much is because there's no painting. It's just like Legos. You put stuff together and then, stickers, and it's pretty simple.
Yeah, so if I could paint, then high grades would not be a problem, but it's just since I can't, I resort to using the stickers, and they're good, but for me, I just have to place them on just right, and then I'll be happy. If I'm, like you said, John, if I'm off, then it just drives me crazy.
Yeah, dude, it does. Like honestly, like that's why that was one of the main reasons why I got so turned off from high grades, but also just, they're pretty small and they're not as much fun to display as other grades when we get to those grades.
Yeah, speaking of the other grades, I guess we'll move on unless you have your own personal experience with your high grade collection.
No, I mean, like I said, I've broken two. My very first one, I messed up. I forgot to put the sticker in the center piece where it's supposed to be green. So it would have just been clear. So I had to buy another one. And the second high grade I bought, I think I accidentally broke the thing, the like headpiece, the like two almost kind of horn looking. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the V fin.
Yeah. it stuck out. It broke, so I had to use glue, and it actually looks pretty good. Like it doesn't look like it's glued on at all, but it was still pretty annoying. But other than that, haven't had, and those were my first two Gundams I ever built. So of course, of course, it's not going to go as smooth as you would like.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All
um,
right.
I
All right. I
think,
guess. Oh,
yeah.
but
Well, I was gonna say, I do have something to say about real grades.
all right. I guess we'll move on to real grades then.
Have you ever built a real grade, John?
Yes, I built a couple, but I do not have them with me anymore.
Oh, did you sell them?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do with mine.
All right. I guess we'll move on to real grade now. Basically, a real grade is kind of like it in terms of um outer like design. It looks like a master grade, but it's in the same size as a real grade.
Yeah, essentially, real grades are basically just they're the same size as high grades. They're just more detailed.
All right. So I guess we'll move on to that. Do you want to go first?
Oh yeah, so I've only built one real grade, and it it was pretty aggravating to say the least. The only
Yeah.
real grade that I've built is the Wing Zero from Gundam Wing, which is one of my favorite designs. I have a master grade of it now, and that's the last one that I just built. And the master grade looks really cool, and I like it way better. And it came with a stand, so it was ultimately just a better kit. So the real grade, I don't know if this is just my experience. I don't know if this normally happens, if it's, all around with different high grades or if it's just this specific kit. But like after I built it, it stayed together semi well. But then I started like trying to display it in different poses and all that. And like the feet just kept coming off and the top part kept coming off and it just would not stay together. Like
I
I had to
see.
mess with it so much. And the wings kept like not like falling off, but they kept like tilting down in the pose I didn't want. And it just got so annoying. So I just had to take it off and I replaced it with my master grade. And I'm so much happier with the Wing Zero master grade than the real grade.
Uh,
So,
yeah. Um, if you didn't know about the old real grades, they have this thing called early real grade syndrome, where their pre-built inner skeleton frame will get loose over time,
oh,
and it
really?
gets even looser and looser to the point where it just cannot stand up anymore.
Well, part of the reason why I got that real grade was because it was on sale. Because Hobby Lobby was doing this thing where they did like, I think 40%, 40 or 30% off their kits.
I understand.
Yeah. So, and I had only built two. So I was like, all right, let's move up to something besides high grade. And it's like, I'm glad I did it, but yeah, it wasn't necessarily money wise, it wasn't worth it. Experience wise, yes, I'd say it's worth it, but yeah,
All
I'm
right.
probably going to end up selling it if I can.
All right. My experience with the real grade, I built a couple. I built the real grade RX-79. I built a real grade Zaku. I built a real grade Unicorn, and I built a real grade Seed Impulse. So the RX-7892 and the Zaku were horrible experience. I did not like them at all.
Yeah.
Like you with the Wing Zero, it
Oh,
just
yeah.
would not hold anything I did. And I mean, at first it was really solid and it held up fine, but like after like a week or like maybe a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to change it up and the arms just kept falling off, and I'm just like, what the heck?
Yeah. No,
And but
I, I
after
don't know.
the unicorn came out and beyond, they were actually really solid.
Is it the green or the red unicorn?
That's the red unicorn.
Is that massive one you have? That's a real
Yeah.
grade? Oh,
No,
really?
the massive one I have is that perfect grade.
So you do have a perfect grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the real grade, after the unicorn comes out and anything beyond that, they're very solid grades and have actually come around as well.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I thought the one that I bought was semi new, but I guess I was wrong. I'd have to look at I think I still have the box. So I'll have to
No,
check.
anything that's past the unicorn and like to the present day is good. Anything before the unicorn is not so good.
Well, what year did the unicorn come out?
Um, I think maybe 4, maybe 3 years ago. I somewhere around that time frame.
I know that real grade is a semi new like grade. Like it's not it hasn't been around for a while.
Yeah,
So I guess that does make sense. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the main issue I have with real grades, besides my experience, is that they're just the same size as high grades.
yeah. I kind of wish they brought something a little new to the table, but I mean, for people who don't have like a giant like display room, I can understand like if size matters to you. It's like, well, I don't have a lot of room, so high grade and real grade is perfect for me.
Yeah, because you just put all your high grades and stuff under your bed.
Yeah,
You just have like an army of Gundams under your bed.
yeah, because right now I don't have an own area to call my home, but one day I will.
Just like I have in the corner, just a bunch of like boxes of Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic cards that like I've been trying to organize, and I am organizing them because at the time of this recording, my desk is filled with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I have them organized. So
All right. Um, if we're all done here on real grade, I guess we'll move on to my favorite grade, which is master grade.
it is your favorite?
Oh yeah, master grade I really like.
Okay, well, yeah, that makes two of us because that's also my favorite grade.
All right, I'll go first this time. Um, my experience with master grade has been pretty much positive throughout every single kit I built. Yes, it does take longer. That has a full inner frame, but I enjoyed every second of it. Like
What
it
would you
wasn't a moment.
say? What would you say is your favorite master grade that you've built?
My favorite master grade that I built was um the judge.
The Judge.
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, it's kind of like a third party mech, and it kind of takes bits and parts from a real Gundam design, but it doesn't really call itself a Gundam.
Oh, really?
But it looks exactly like one would look like. But
Is it made by Bandai?
no, it's made by uh, Gravity Zero.
So it's a.
It's a third party Gundam.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And third parties, they're kind of hit and miss. Some are really good, and some are just terrible.
How much money did you put into the Judge?
The judge was only $165 plus tax.
So it was pretty up there. It was a pretty up there price for model kit.
Yeah, because the joints and its weapons were made out of die-cast metal.
Oh, wow.
So that's why the price demanded a little bit higher.
Okay.
Um, but the most simplest one and the most fun was the RX-78 too, because it was just so simple in its design and just so easy to put together, and it looked great just for a solid master grade. But probably my most aggravating one to build was my full armor unicorn
Mm-hmm.
because it was just so many weapons went on it, and the shoulders, the top part of the shoulders would just not stay put. And the weapons that I had to put into the hands, it was just so many weapons and just
The
trying to connect it all was just not fun.
full that unicorn that's like full battle, it has like a bunch of weapons on the back,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
Is that perfect or is that's real grade, right?
No, that's master grade.
That's master grade.
Hmm.
Was that a pain to put on all the weapons and stuff or what?
Yeah, it was just so many weapons that you have to put on, and the arms you have to put them on a specific way, otherwise, like the hands for the unicorn are just not strong enough.
Okay. Yeah, I imagine that was really tough to put together.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I really wanted to pose it, but it just became a statue instead because if I try to move it, something is gonna fall off and it's just gonna drive me crazy.
Well, I can tell you right now, my favorite master grade that I've built, but I mean just in general, probably right now, is my Epion.
Oh yeah, Epion is pretty up there.
Oh, I guess I forgot. Yeah, so I did accidentally break the there's that sword thing, but I was able to
Hmm.
glue it back together. But
What did you
honest
break?
that the sword thing, like the green blade that
Oh,
you
you
hear,
did.
yeah. But I glued it back together.
What part did you break?
Just so I was putting like the actual like, the handle, like that the thing that you grab that you hold on to.
Hmm.
And I guess I put too much pressure and it literally like shot out of my hand. And then I was like, oh shit. And then I noticed it was
Damn.
broke. Yeah. But it's all good. But honestly, I honestly just keep it like just standing. Like I just keep it in like a, pretty basic pose, but like because I don't have a stand for it. But when I do get a stand, I might put it on. But honestly, I like the pose that it's in right now.
Yeah, mine when I get a display case, I'm gonna pair it up with my Wing Zero to like battle each other.
Yeah, you need to have like a Gundam Wing section.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't have the room to really have a stand for it right now because the only one that has a stand is the Wing Zero, and it came with the stand. So,
Uh, yeah.
but
And
it looks fine. I'm happy with it.
speaking of master grade, we'll just go on a little subversion and we'll talk about Verka and Real and Reborn 1/100. But since I know that, I'll talk more about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I am not too familiar with that, so why don't you go ahead and touch on that?
All right, so we're gonna touch on Verka now, and Verka is kind of like the pinnacle of master grade, where they put the test to the master grade by introducing so much detail and something new to bring to the kit. So like your Wing Zero, it was the first master grade that was a Wing Zero.
Yeah.
Mine is a Verka, so it has a lot more detail, a lot more surface detail to look at, and it has a new gimmick to it where the twin rifles that it has, you can actually fold up and put inside the wings.
Oh, really?
So if you didn't want to like display it with the rifles, you can just put it in the wings and not have like some place to like put it off.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so Burka is kind of like the pinnacle where they push the master grade so far, almost to the extreme to, and it kind of results sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes it results in a floppy master grade, like the Victory 2 Burka, if anyone has built that. It is just so unstable because the transformation they put into it is just so complicated. Um,
Really?
just like the Zeta, nobody or very few people like transforming the Master Grade Zeta Gundam because it is just so much and I wouldn't say it's not solid, but the transformation is just so complicated.
Right.
So that's kind of my take on Verka. I've built a couple, but my experience with the Verka is pretty positive. Like that's the only stories I've heard about people having bad experience.
That's interesting. A lot of people at work have been asking me, I think this is kind of a fun thing to bring up, like what is a good like starting point
Oh yeah.
for Gundams. Like I got one of my coworkers actually to buy like this entry level kit.
Oh yeah, that's a great way to start off. Entry
Yeah.
grades are like for people who've never built anything because
Well,
it says entry.
I think he has some kit experience, but yeah. And he really enjoyed it. And he built a couple, he bought another some like I think Xeons, and I think he built those too. But yeah, I think if you've never built like a kit in your life, I think an entry level kit's definitely a good way to start. If you have some experience and you're kind of confident and you maybe even have like, nippers and like you already have like a setup and everything, then you could probably start off with high grades.
Yeah, I would suggest to get if you're new to it, like Sean said, to get an entry grade first. But if you do have some experience, you can choose a high grade. But I would go with maybe a lower end high grade that's not too much money. So like if you end up screwing up or something, it's not like a lot of money that you just lost.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the other thing is like, you should probably try and invest in the series a little bit because I feel like when I was building the the Epion, because I watched it in the anime and like building the kits that I had originally watched, like it was more meaningful to me.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just saying that like if you're already an anime fan and you haven't seen Gundam, I would you should watch it, especially
Yeah.
if you are into model kit building.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And especially when you get to an episode that you like the designs, you'll be more invested to buy it because you'll have seen it on the TV show and be like, wow, it did pretty cool things in the TV show.
Yeah. Like that's yeah. I think that's a good starting point. And then just figuring out which anime series is for you since there's so many.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But that's a topic for another time.
All right, and real quickly, I'll just touch up on Reborn 1/100s. They're basically high grades, but master grade sized.
Okay.
And they're kind of sparse and far between, um, but they're not really kind of thing that uh, builders like to buy because they just like high grades, just bigger high grades, and people don't really find appeal to that.
Yeah. I haven't seen, honestly, I've only come across a couple master grades like in store. Like my first one I bought online.
Yeah, so Reborn 1/100 is not something people really get, but it's still out there. Some people still have it. If you do have it, uh, tell us in the comments below what you have if you do have the Reborn 100s.
I think it'd
Um,
be fun to try. I mean, would you recommend trying it to people who have already built Gundams and want to try something a little bit different?
yeah, if you like see a design and it's a Reborn 1/100, go for it. Because hey, that's a design you like, and I won't tell you like no, you can't get that. Um, So I guess unless you have anything else, we'll move on to the next grade,
Nope. Go ahead.
right? The next grade from master grade, we will move on to perfect grade. And I don't think Sean has built a perfect grade, but I've built a perfect grade,
I have not.
all right? So I've only built two perfect grades. I built the unicorn that you've seen countless times, Sean,
Oh yeah.
and I have built the RX-78 two perfect grade. It's an Unleashed version. And the Unleashed perfect grade was insanely crazy good. I loved it. and every single part of it was amazing. It just brought so much to the perfect grade. The unicorn, it was pretty solid too, but there was a lot of undergrading and a lot of undergrading nubs that I had to clean up. But
Right.
overall, my perfect grade experience was pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos on perfect grades, and it's definitely something that I would like to try out, but it's not like I think I'm probably gonna stick with master grade for a bit, and then I'll probably venture out into that territory. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's been a couple of weeks. We had some technical issues come up and some delays, but thank you guys for being patient and stick with us. And we will have more content as always soon. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll talk to you all later.